everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is going to be your latest Manchester United transfer news. We've got lots and lots to talk about on Maguire, Bruno Fernandes, Aubameyang, Longstaff, Lukaku, Darmian, Rojo. Loads and loads to talk about. But first of all, I just want to draw your attention to what was a fantastic interview this lunchtime with James Cooper from Sky Sports. It's being quoted all over social media because he actually gave quite a lot of information in his interview to Flex. And make sure you watch it. Click the eye in the top right hand corner and go and give it a watch. This is Manchester United Sky Sports correspondent for the last however many years. Really good insights there. You know, it's coming out tonight that De Gea is going to sign a contract in the next 2 to 3 weeks. James Cooper said that on our interview. That's why it's coming out. He also said, get rid of Rojo. He's not good enough. He also said he didn't like the way that Herrera was likened to Roy Keane because he ran about a lot. He also said Pogba will go where the money is. Very hard-hitting interview. Very refreshing to get, you know, instead of James asking the questions, somebody who's close to United being asked the questions. Absolutely fantastic. Make sure you give that interview a listen to. But what did he say about Harry Maguire? Which is very interesting. Let's start off with Harry Maguire and then let's move on to Bruno Fernandes. What he said about Harry Maguire is Manchester United will definitely sign a centre-back in the next few weeks and that Manchester United have got options. And that, to me, look, this is a man who has, you know, is close to Manchester United. And he said, Leicester have got to be careful because Manchester United have got options. Now, what are those options? That's immediately what I thought. It's the very first few seconds in the video for those who've watched it. If you haven't watched it, that Manchester United have got options and Leicester City need to be careful. And I think there is this perception that Leicester are in the position of power. You pay 80 million or you don't get Harry Maguire. Clearly United have got other options. And what are those other options? But you know what? Harry Maguire's desperate. Harry Maguire's desperate. We're hearing stuff today that, you know, his idols are Phil Jones and Chris Smalling. No. His idols are Steve Bruce and Vidic and Ferdinand. He even thinks that he could come to Manchester United and be a captain of Manchester United. He wants that move. He wants that move. And these opportunities for 26-year-olds don't actually come around that often because in a year's time, United might have moved on. Liverpool aren't going to need centre-backs with what they've got, with Van Dijk and Gomez and people like that. United and City need a centre-back now. They might not need one in a year's time. So this is the opportunity for Maguire and that's why he's pushing for the move. But Leicester obviously want a price that may not be a price that they can get. Leicester want a replacement for Maguire as well. So it's going to be very interesting. We're 3 weeks away virtually to the hour that this transfer window closes. United need to get that over the line and they need to get it over very soon. But I'm interested to see what those options are if United do decide to walk away, which I don't think they will. I just find it was interesting what James Cooper said because he's a little bit closer, isn't he? United have walked away from Longstaff at 50 million, turned attention to 25 million Nicola Saniolo, says Chloe Jenkins. Well, I'll talk about Longstaff very quickly. Obviously, Steve Bruce has been appointed as Newcastle United manager. I mean, I've got to give you the update on Bruno Fernandes. Let's do Bruno Fernandes first, then we'll go to Longstaff because actually, you know, Longstaff is sort of page 10, isn't he? Whereas, you know, Longstaff is Bruno Fernandes would be page 3. Traditionally, you go straight and have a look at that. So let's have a look at Bruno Fernandes. So look, the latest with Bruno Fernandes is that his agent's in England. Well, his agents may as well buy a bloody house in England. He's always in bloody England. He's been flying back and forth more than a bloody bird. But he is apparently in England, and this means that a bid is imminent. But we've heard this so many times with Bruno Fernandes, and I've had a lot of people contacting me because obviously, you know, I'm even bored myself of telling you what I know about that deal. He is a priority for Manchester United. The situation with Bruno Fernandes, and I tweeted it this morning, the situation with Bruno Fernandes is this. I'm up to 90% sure that he will sign for Manchester United. I can feel a meme coming on already. 90% sure that he'll come to Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes wants to come to United. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants Bruno Fernandes. Sporting Lisbon want to sell Bruno Fernandes to Manchester United. The only thing stopping this deal is the Manchester United board decision makers who pay them money. United can get him for as little as £55 million, which is about 60 million euros. Sporting Lisbon will take that. But United apparently are messing around thinking about putting an offer of 50 million. Now, the reason the title of the video is Bruno Fernandes' final bid is because the first bid is the final bid. For anybody who knows anything about Bruno Fernandes' contract, the first bid will be the final bid. And if we mess it up, we won't get him. Because when you offer for Bruno Fernandes, as long as you offer over 35 million euro, which anybody's going to because he's worth double that, the minute you offer over 35 million euro and Sporting Lisbon reject it, they have to pay Bruno Fernandes 5 million euro because it's in his contract. And the minute Sporting Lisbon reject a bid and pay Bruno Fernandes 5 million is the minute I think they'll go, you know what, we're not selling you, we'll just keep you. So the first bid is the final bid. So United haven't put any bids in for Bruno Fernandes yet. I heard some outlet the other day saying United have bid for Bruno Fernandes. Well, they bloody well haven't, because if they haven't, it's been rejected. Sporting Lisbon will have paid Bruno Fernandes 5 million. So the first bid will be the final bid. And this is why I think this is what I think is going wrong. I think United want to get him for the cheapest price they can, but they're gauging what that cheapest price is going to be. Very difficult. So the first bid will be the final bid, because if they get it wrong, Sporting Lisbon will say up yours. So I think that's why it's taking so long. I'm very confident that we'll do this Bruno Fernandes deal, because I do actually think, and I don't know what you lot think, I do actually think that if we don't get Bruno Fernandes, we're screwed next season. And you can hide behind the positivity, the positivity of McTominay, and Fred might suddenly become the player we thought he was, and Pereira might become the player we thought he was, and Gomez and Chong and Mata and Lingard and all, they might be brilliant. They might be brilliant. But reality will bite in October, because they're not good enough, a lot of those players. Some of them are good. Some of them need to develop. Pogba's the only midfielder we've got that is relevant. And Bruno Fernandes would be a player that comes in that is relevant, a top-class midfielder. We need that. You can't just bring Longstaff into that midfield and go, you know what, we've sold Herrera, but we've got Longstaff, who's played 9 games for Newcastle. Yay, we're going to finish in the top 4. No, you're not, because Matic is shit. So it's not going to happen. They have to sign Bruno Fernandes. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows this. This is why he's a priority. And United cannot do a Perisic on this, where Mourinho was desperate for Perisic, wanted Perisic, Perisic wanted to come to United, Inter wanted to sell to United, but Manchester United board refused to go 5 million more. No, we're not going to pay it. And Mourinho's like, then, well, where's my replacement then? No. We would have paid 45 million for him, or 40 million I think it was. We would have paid 40 million, but we're not paying 45. Yeah, that's great, but that's the player I wanted to put the crosses into the box for Lukaku. Like, where's the replacement? No, there isn't one. So the 40 million you were going to pay, you're just going to pocket that and learn the interest. Welcome to Manchester United. And that's what worries me about this deal with Bruno Fernandes, is if we walk away from it, is there anybody else coming in? Is there? And they've got to get the deal done. But also, I actually still believe that Manchester United will bring Bruno Fernandes, Maguire and Longstaff in. Because I think with the summer of discontent, with all the Glazer out stuff, etc., if they don't do a good transfer window, that's another man. All I will say on August the 8th is they've failed another manager. This is nothing to do with Solskjaer. You know, I could be Manchester United manager. You could be Manchester United manager. You could have a list, and if you don't get half your list, you've failed. So if on August the 8th we've only got Wan-Bissaka, Daniel James, Sean Longstaff and Harry Maguire, they've let the manager down. Again, it's onto the board. 3 weeks to do it. Crack on. Love the channel. Keep up the good work. Do you think it would be acceptable if we bought a right winger later on? We just don't have time now because of a lazy board, says Ishak Beg. I said this either this morning, last night. I think that with regards to the right winger, we don't have time to get a right winger in, and we're very fortunate that we've got Mason Greenwood coming through, because I think he's ready, and I think he will actually end up solving that problem for us. Mark Whitten, you'll be surprised with the players that want to come to United. Well, Mark's spot on with that comment there. That was made by the club. You'll be surprised at the quality of players that want to come to United. Are you surprised by the player that wants to come to United? I'm not surprised that Daniel James wanted to come. It's a massive step up. I'm not surprised Wan-Bissaka wants to come on. Massive step up. Not surprised Harry Maguire wants to come. It's a step up. Not surprised Sean Longstaff wants to come. It's a step up. Bruno Fernandes, I'm not massively surprised if he comes, but that's the sort of player I was thinking about when it was said, Mark, to be honest. Phil Brown said we've had 2 bids rejected for him, says Matthew West. We haven't bid for Bruno Fernandes. We haven't bid for Bruno Fernandes. We haven't bid for Bruno Fernandes, because when you bid for Bruno Fernandes, Sporting Lisbon have to give him €5 million and a 4-year contract on double wages. So we haven't done that. That's why it's constantly about the agent coming over. And I must just bring James Cooper in. What did James Cooper say about Bruno Fernandes? He said this is being driven by the Portuguese media, because Sporting Lisbon want to sell Bruno Fernandes to Manchester United. It's not being driven by the English media. So look, it's on Manchester United to get this deal done. Jonathan and Cherry Smith says 322,000 views for Perth live match. Well done, Mark. Thank you, Jonathan. So yeah, look, I just feel, and I said this last night, that there's got to be something done with Manchester United over the next week. They've got to do something. We cannot be here in a week's time going, we still need 3 signings. Because I'll say it now, if next week no one's gone and no one's come in, forget it. We're not going to get it done. But I will lay this down on the line now because I've said it on Twitter. Mark, I'm off to the Dam tomorrow looking for Ziyech, says Chops Hauer. I wonder where Ziyech will go actually from Ajax. He would have been a good signing for United, but we've never really been linked to him. If over these next 2 weeks we sign Maguire, Bruno Fernandes, Sean Longstaff, and we sell Rojo, Darmian and Lukaku, I think that's a very good summer for Manchester United with Wan-Bissaka and Daniel James as well. That's 5 in, 3 out. I could have been greedy and wanted 6 in, 4 out, but I'll take those 5 and those 3 out. The reality is, will we get Maguire, Longstaff, Fernandes and sell Darmian, Rojo and Lukaku in 3 weeks? I don't think we will do it in 3 weeks. So I think there is going to be a feeling of dissatisfaction, but I'm still confident. I'm more focused on the ins than the outs. If, as I said, we hit August the 8th and we haven't, look, we're playing Thursday night football next year. I was talking to Jared actually in the group chat before we came out. I nearly swear, Thursday night football next year. If we've still got Romelu Lukaku bouncing his balls into Sainsbury's car park on a Thursday night, I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose it. He has to go. He has to go. But and as James Cooper said in that interview with Flex, the desperation of Conte to get Lukaku means that it's inevitable that he will go, and he has to go. Do you really think Greenwood can be the solution to our right wing problem, says Pablo Mendes? Yes and no. I think yes, because if you look at the way United played in the 2 pre-season games, and I know we're playing total shit opposition, but I always said in these pre-season games, yeah, if we get good individual performances, great. It's all about confidence. But what is most important is the way we play tactically. And what I've seen from the front 3 is interchangeability. And somebody said on the watch along yesterday, most of the top teams now, their front 3 interchange. If you look at Liverpool and Man City, it was just United that were very stagnant and pragmatic under a stagnant and pragmatic manager like Mourinho. So you say, can Mason Greenwood play off the right? But actually, yesterday in the first half, he was sort of playing off the right, but then he scores a goal very centrally, and Rashford drifts to the right. So he's not going to play right wing like hug the touchline right wing. There's going to be interchangeability, and I think that in that situation he certainly could do it. Yeah. Shivesh Singh says less than 3 weeks left and we're still being cheap. I can understand it with Maguire's valuation, but in what world is Fernandes not worth at least 60 million? And you know what I think with that is, and I know we're all scared of saying this, I think what that is what we've been talking about. I remember this being discussed probably 6 weeks ago. Are United seriously a club of their size doing one deal at a time? And the answer seems to be yes. We're doing one deal at a time. So it's Harry Maguire at the moment. Then it'll be somebody else. And what's going on with Lukaku? Imrano TV, I'm close friends with Woodford's nephew, and he told me we're preparing a bid for Messi starting at £50 million with 99 pence in add-ons. And Prashwari Prasad says, Bruno Fernandes wants to come, Mark. If he didn't want to come, he would have been off to Liverpool or City right now. Thoughts? Yes, I think the perfect move for Bruno Fernandes is Manchester United. It's no... You know what? I understand the toxicity on social media because frustration... It's human nature, isn't it? We love our club and we know, that Leeds team yesterday was a Leeds 11. It wasn't Leeds United's best team. It was Leeds 11. And we beat them and it was good. But who's missing for us, really? Not good players. We're not missing any players. We're missing speculative signings that we think are going to come. So you can't really count them. And we're missing Sanchez, Fred and Darmian. Whoopee, So that's pretty much our best squad. And we beat Leeds 4-0. Great. But it's a Leeds 11. So I can see the sprouts of positivity within Manchester United in what we're doing. But let's not be realistic. Let's be realistic. That team is going to struggle to get in the top 4 if it doesn't get 2 or 3 players added to it very, very soon. Ash Shay Sood says, who do you think will captain this side this season? I'd vote for De Gea. I personally think that United will try and give it to Pogba to make him stay. And whether that's a right or wrong, all I can give you is my opinion. And I just think that a player that wants to leave your club, if you give them the captaincy to make them stay, that makes you a small club. I'm not saying that we should let Pogba go. I said this yesterday. When Pogba came, and apparently this is being a flip-flop. Apparently this is a flip-flop. It isn't. It's just a change of an opinion, which is based on facts. So when Pogba handed in his notice, I want a new challenge, I basically came out like a lot of you lot did, defended my club and said, get out. If you don't want to be here, go. But here we are, 6 weeks after that. He's still here. We haven't got a replacement. We haven't even built the midfield that we needed to build if he was going to stay. And it's very obvious to me, we haven't got time to replace Pogba. So we need him to stay because it's what's best for United next season that matters. And we're better off with Pogba than without Pogba if we can't get a replacement. That's the logic of it. Do I want to see? I mean, I'm going to keep quoting James Cooper from the interview. You've got to watch it. Click the eye in the top right hand corner. But he said about Pogba, he said he's not I don't want to call him a mercenary, but he will go where the money is. So if Real Madrid do the best package, he'll try and go there. If United offer him a load of money, he'll probably sign a new contract. But the new contract doesn't mean he'll be here next year. It just means he's got paid more money next year, and he might force a move next year. So I don't think any football club, not just Manchester United, I think, if Mo Salah says I want to leave and then Liverpool say we'll give you the captaincy and he goes and a load of money and he says stay, I think that makes Liverpool look weak. I think if Harry Kane says to Spurs I want to go and play somewhere else for a new challenge and Spurs go we'll give you double the money in the captain's armband, gold plated, because I think he is the captain anyway, that makes Spurs look weak. So if United give Pogba the captaincy, having him literally said and his agent say he wants to go, I think it makes us look small, and nobody should be smaller than our club. But I do want him to stay. I just don't think we should be giving him the captaincy in the circumstances. I just think it sort of, in my mind, it diminishes what our great club's all about. But I do want him to stay. I just don't think he should get the captaincy. But we don't really have a captain, to be honest. That's why Ashley Young runs around in it. Nick P. Mark, I think after watching Jones against Leeds, if he gets his head down, trains hard and applies himself, there's a real chance he could have a role working in the staff canteen. But dush. I'm rooting for him. I hoped you were going with a joke there, Nick P. I really, really did. Right, let's talk about Sean Longstaff for a moment. So Steve Bruce has been, because I have a theory on Sean Longstaff and I keep mentioning about signing him, but actually I think it might be different. It might be difficult because so Steve Bruce has been appointed as Newcastle manager. Sean Longstaff is what they're saying is Steve Bruce is going to sit down with Sean Longstaff and say that he's fundamental to his plans next season, which he will be. Of course he will. It's Newcastle United. They're not that good. A player like that's going to be fundamental to their things. But if you look at it from Newcastle's point of view, why would you sell Sean Longstaff to Manchester United for 25 million when you know full well if you get him to stay next season, he'll play a lot more games and his value will go up by at least 10-15 million. And then you keep a good player that makes your team better, and in a year's time you get 15 million more than you get now. So Newcastle are going to do everything they can to keep him because it's in their interest to keep him, and they know they can't sell him for a ridiculous fee because he's only played 9 games. So the only way this deal is going to happen, well, there's 2 ways this deal will happen. United will do something stupid like pay 35 million for a player that's played 9 games, or Sean Longstaff's got to force a move. And will he do that? Will he do that? I don't know. So I think that deal, even the Sean Longstaff deal, is not straightforward, is it? Some would say that's a good thing, but I certainly don't think it is. What do you think of Fred at CDM next season, says Ishak Baig? Well, it's a very easy, quick answer for me about Fred. I liked what I saw from Fred around the end of March last season, when we had a lot of injuries and we played him in the midfield. And I know he made a few mistakes, but I mean, it might just be because Matic is so bad in that role. But Fred wanted the ball, was quick on the ball. Yeah, he made a few mistakes, but I would rather have Fred as a CDM than Matic. But as soon as everyone was fit again, Ollie dropped him. So I don't see Ollie using him. I think long term, Fred's future's over at Manchester United, to be honest with you. That's just how I feel about it. I've not mentioned Aubameyang, even though he's in the bloody title, which is sort of my sort of hints away at how I feel about this, because it was a few weeks ago that we mentioned Aubameyang. Aubameyang is apparently unsettled at Arsenal. Who wouldn't be? They're shit. But apparently FC Internews, and I don't know about their credibility, are saying that United are looking at a £62 million bid for Aubameyang when Lukaku goes. Now, that would be very, very interesting in a hypothetical situation, because I've always liked Aubameyang, and I know he plays for Arsenal, and you can call him the Gabonese Jamie Vardy if you want. I didn't. That was Rance who did that. I called Lacazette the French Charlie Austin. I actually do like Aubameyang. I can't see him leaving Arsenal, but I could understand why he'd want to. I can't see Arsenal selling to Manchester United. And I don't think United will go and spend big on a Lukaku replacement. I actually don't think United will buy a Lukaku replacement. I think we're going to, unless it's somebody who's got development in them, because I think it's very clear to me that Ollie wants Rashi to be his number 9. He's got Martial, he's got Greenwood. He's going to have to do something with Alexis Sanchez. So I just don't see it. I just don't see the Aubameyang thing. But what I would say is, it was mentioned from quite a good source a few weeks ago when we spoke about it, Andy Goldstein, who obviously works for MUTV, and said that, he's got a source who's normally about 80% right, who said Aubameyang to United. So, I mean, it would be a shock. Let's just see. I mean, you get a lot of these transfers, don't you, that are... they start out as a little murmur and they effectively start off as a little wave and they get bigger and bigger. Let's just see with Aubameyang. But for me, I just don't think so. Lee McGorn says, are you confident only having Shaw at left back? He's injury prone and could leave us vulnerable during the season. Congratulations on 500,000 subscribers. I think you raise a good point that we could do with a backup left back. I agree with that. I don't agree that Luke Shaw's injury prone. I think he had a bad injury and it took him a bit of time to get back. But last season, he won Player of the Year because he was our most consistent player with Lindelof. I don't think that he was our best individual player within certain moments. I think you could say maybe that was Pogba. But over the season, Luke Shaw and Victor Lindelof were ridiculously consistent, and that's because he stayed fit. So, Superfields 11 says that Aubameyang is 30 years of age. Yeah, that is a factor. Of course it is. Marley 321 says we can still get top 4. Chelsea and Arsenal aren't good. I've said this so many times, Marley, and I totally agree with you. Manchester United, if they don't get top 4 next season, if we're sat here next season and we didn't get top 4, I think you've got to look at Solskjaer big time. Maybe not exclusively, because we should get top 4 next season, 100%. We should get top 4. I've not even done my Premier League preview yet. I won't do it for a few weeks, but I'll tell you right now, spoiler alert, 4th. United are 4th or above, not below. United should get 4th. We haven't got a transfer ban like Chelsea. We haven't lost our best player like Chelsea. We haven't got a new manager like Chelsea. Arsenal, banter. Don't even need to do lists. They're just a banter club, so you should finish above them. It was banter that we finished below them. So 4th next season is minimum for Manchester United. But Mr. Glenn Johnson says the crying from Arsenal fans if Aubameyang signs. I'd do it for that. I'd say if there was any chance, I'd sign Aubameyang just to do that. But I actually do quite rate him. But what I was going to say is, if we don't finish top 4 next season, I'm not going to be a hypocrite here and say you should look at Solskjaer, because actually there is a very, very relevant point to this. If we don't finish in the top 4 next season, is it about the manager? Because right now, is that squad we've got good enough to finish 4th? It's debatable. Yeah, all right. Chelsea have got a new manager. They've lost Hazard, and they've got a transfer ban, but their squad is still pretty good. And what have we done to our squad? I mean, this is the cold, harsh reality here. Because if we don't sign anybody else, which I think we will, but if we don't, are you telling me our squad's better or worse than the end of the season, considering Herrera's gone? We've not replaced him yet. All right, Wan-Bissaka is infinitely better than Ashley Young. Daniel James, yeah, he's an option. He's an untested option. But realistically, all teams' strength is their midfield. And Herrera was a very important midfield for us. Whether you felt he should have gone or not, he was a very important midfielder. And we haven't replaced him. So our midfield is very, very weak. Very, very weak. So I think, actually, as things stand now, we haven't taken advantage of Chelsea's transfer ban. We haven't taken advantage of the fact that Arsenal are crap. That 4th spot is there, hanging fruit to be eaten. But you've got to spend the money to get it. And I can't, this is why I'm so confident United will do more business. Because one thing Manchester United is a business. They're a business. They've got bank managers high up in that job who know exactly about business. So you're telling me that they're sat in the boardroom knowing 4th is there. And knowing 4th is Champions League football. And knowing Champions League football is a hell of a lot more money than Europa League football, especially from your sponsors. So that 4th spot's there. Forget Liverpool, Man City and Spurs. If you finish above any of them, it's high 5 moments or 10. But 4th spot's there to be grabbed. And that's a cash cow. That's got a lot of money in it. How do we get that 4th spot with this squad? Well, you probably don't. But if you buy a centre-back and a top quality midfielder like Bruno Fernandes, you probably do. You will get top 4. So that's my sort of interpretation of the situation at the moment. 4th spot's there, but if we go into next season with the squad we've got, I don't think we'll get it. If we get Harry Maguire and Bruno Fernandes, I think 4th spot's there for us to get, and we should get it. And if Ollie doesn't get it, he's failed. So, and that's the scenario I want. I want Solskjaer to fail or succeed with the tools that he needs to do the job. I don't want to happen what happened with Mourinho last year, where he didn't get the players he wanted. Liam Summers says it's disgraceful that we talked about shifting players. All still there, and we have signed 2 players. It's making us look a joke. There's still time. Daniel Britton says, recap please, Mark. Just watch Cooper interview. Great interview by Flex. We should be getting a director of football in very soon to prepare to January. Wasted if not. It is an absolutely fantastic interview. I cannot urge you to watch it enough. Click the eye in the top right hand corner when you've listened to finishing to me, or you can go now if you want. I've still got more to talk about. James Cooper is the Sky Sports Manchester United correspondent. Flex interviewed him out in Perth. The background where they did it was fantastic, but the detail in there and the range of topics that they spoke about, from De Gea to Pogba, from Glazers out to Solskjaer, from Bruno Fernandes to Harry Maguire, everything was covered in the interview. And this is from a Sky Sports Manchester United correspondent who's very close to the club. Very, very interesting half an hour to sit back and listen to. Flex did fantastically well, and James Cooper was a joy to listen to. So make sure you listen to it, because actually a lot of what was said in that interview, it's a privilege for the channel, is being now quoted in the mainstream media, especially about De Gea signing a contract in the next 2 to 3 weeks. That was James Cooper in our interview at lunchtime saying that, and now it's in the mainstream media, which it will be because he's credible. The only way we resolve our problems and go back to our winning ways is by appointing a technical director. Our board sucks when it comes to transfers, says Rumi Sandu. Well, that's the second one we've read out, isn't it? Where we're talking about this director of football, which is one we should have got 6 months ago. You can't bring one in now to solve this transfer window. Third one, Akshay Sood. The bigger picture being ignored is director of football and the acquisition of the club. It's high time we moved out of the Glazers' shadow. Deadwood needs to go. Leave as well. Sorry, Dead Woodward needs to leave as well. Ryan FTW, imagine if we lose Pogba and don't replace him. A midfield of 3 of McTominay, Pereira and Matic. Please sign Bruno ASAP. Rather we sign a new centre midfielder than a centre back. I tell you what, Ryan, though, and I'll throw this out to the live comments. If Pogba was sold and we bought Bruno Fernandes in, do you think that's good? I don't. I rate Bruno Fernandes, but you can't let Pogba go and just bring Bruno in. Pogba with Bruno, or Bruno with a Pogba replacement, but you don't just let Pogba go and bring Bruno in. That cannot be the plan. That would be a disaster transfer window. It's interesting. I think I've said this so many times, I think August 8th, I said it in May, said it in June, said it in July, and I have a little slip every now and again, as you do. I get frustrated and fed up with it, but ultimately, August the 8th, 3-week time, is when we're going to judge this transfer window. We'll know exactly to the penny how much we've spent. We'll know exactly what players have been brought in and brought out. And I tell you now, if we've only spent 100 million and we've only brought 2 or 3 players in, they've got a big problem at that club, because the Glazers out thing might not work when it's the middle of the summer because it's all on social media, but it'll bloody work when the fans start going back to the ground. So the challenge is there for the club. And that's why I believe they will do the business that needs to be done, because if they don't, the team won't succeed on the pitch, and there's going to be a lot of trouble off the pitch. And that's not a threat. It's an obvious statement. It will happen. What else did I want to talk about? I mean, look, out the door, Rojo, Darmian and Lukaku. I said that at the start of the show. They got to go. They've got to go. Rojo, as many people have said, is a poor excuse for a defender. Darmian, what has he actually done for the last 2 years? I don't even understand why he's still here. He's obviously homesick, he's got to go. And Lukaku, yeah, go. Just get rid of him, get the money and get rid of him. So those 3 players, would I have liked to have seen more go? Look, I don't really understand what Eric Bailly's future is at the club, but we can discuss that in August. Let's get it done. And De Gea staying is a positive as well, and I think there's positivities from some of the youth that's coming through, especially Mason Greenwood. I think Chong and Gomez need to go out on loan. There are positives, but they shouldn't steer us away, and they're not steering us away when I look on social media, etc., is that United came into this summer needing a centre-back, 2 midfielders and a right winger. At the moment, we've got none of them. We've got to get at least 75% of those. And I still think United will, I don't know why I think it, because actually time is running out. But I have to. What did I say at the start of the week in relation to Harry Maguire? I never thought it was going to happen during the start or the middle of the week. I said Friday. Well, he's not going to sign tomorrow, but I would hope we're going to get something tomorrow, because we're playing a game again on Saturday, and you know what happens when we play a game. It's all about the game on the day, and then the day after is all about the reaction to the game. So then you're hitting Monday next week. We've got to start moving on these deals. If Arsenal do want Zaha, surely they will have to sell someone worth value. So if United did bid for him, chance Arsenal could sell, says Jordan Search. Well, I did a video on That's Football this afternoon where I said I think this is the worst transfer window in Premier League history, because the top 6 have done very little. But you're right. I think Zaha will go to Arsenal, but they're going to have to generate some money. The brilliant thing is, if we did buy Aubameyang for 60 million, and then Arsenal used that 60 million to go and buy Zaha, we'd get 15 million back, because we get 50 million from Zaha. So ultimately, we'd be buying Aubameyang for 45 million. It would be a triangle that would work for us. But I just don't see it, to be honest. And again, how are we going to sign Aubameyang? Like, we're going to sign Maguire, Fernandez, Longstaff and Aubameyang. We've only got 3 weeks. Mark Whitten, would a big club now not have seen these signings sorted and be looking at the mid-season transfer window? What should we be looking at in January? I don't want to depress people, but I say this every year. The January transfer window, it's irrelevant to me. You don't buy proper players in the January transfer window. It's not the time. And United have said that countless times. We've heard Mourinho say it. We've heard Van Gaal say it. The January transfer window is not the time to be doing your rebuild. So I don't see the January transfer window being used effectively. Hamza Telawawi says, why are we not looking at Ruben Neves? He scored 4 goals and assisted 3 goals from the CDM position last season with amazing passes and interceptions. Because Wolves don't want to sell him, and he obviously doesn't want to move. So, you can't buy everybody. He would be absolutely perfect. Imrano TV, may be good, not replacing Lukaku, as we will have 6 players in Rashi, Martial, Lingard, Greenwood, James and Sanchez, who can play anywhere in the front line, which Ollie likes. Could be a fluid system. Yeah, but that's if Sanchez agrees to come off the left wing, isn't it? Fernandez, agent, Aubameyang, Longstaff, Maguire's desperate, take the chance. Lukaku, inevitable. De Gea, 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, okay. I think I've covered virtually everything. Make sure you're smashing a like on the video, everybody. We've got over 11,000 people watching, but we don't seem to have many likes on the video tonight. Like me. I need to be liked. Rashid says it was a rubbish video with James Cooper. Flex is bad at presenting. You're going to get a lot of hate for that. In fact, you've already been deleted by Smutty. You're an idiot, mate. You're an absolute idiot. I've been doing this for 5 years. I think it's one of the best interviews I've seen. Absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed it, and I thought James Cooper was fantastic. But judge it for yourself. Click the eye in the top right hand corner and go and watch it. I mean, it is a fantastic interview. I've watched it twice, because I watched it first time just sitting back relaxed having my dinner, and then the second time I watched it to take all the relevant quotes out there, because he speaks about so much and he's so close to the club. So, I really enjoyed it. I've never seen a football club that is so slow in dealing with transfers like Manchester United, says Blanking Zara. It is massively frustrating. Deep breaths is what I would say. I mean, you do see somebody like Real Madrid in the way they deal with things, especially this summer. Yeah, you do. Please, we've just had 400 likes in 5 seconds, says Benny. Haha. You're fantastic. Let's see if we can do this then. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new, bottom right hand corner. We are live every night at 8 o'clock. We have a transfer daily every morning at 7 a.m, although I've got some big news on that for you to tell you in a minute. Matches, we're live an hour before kickoff, all the way through till full time. Match reaction, fan cams. Flex and Josh, the camera guy, have just landed in Singapore actually. So if you're not following us on Instagram and Twitter, you won't see all the pictures that they're doing. We've got a daily vlog from them. Got one going up tomorrow lunchtime as well. So loads going on the channel. So make sure you subscribe, bottom right hand corner, and get your notifications on, which is the bell. I just want to say that tomorrow morning there won't be a transfer daily, simply because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference is at 9 a.m. So to do a transfer daily at 7 a.m, when we're going to be live just after 9 o'clock to react to Ollie's press conference. So I'll combine the two. It'll be a live show at about 9:15 tomorrow morning for Ollie's press conference, which he's doing over in Singapore. if we're going to sign a new goalkeeper, I don't want to... we're not going to do that, Riley HD. Don't worry about that. And Nashi HD says, Bailly is just as good as Lindelof. I would be fine if we don't sign Maguire. Oh, Nashi. Somebody tell Nashi. You can't do that. We can't stick. You can't go into next season. This is a small club mentality. We were crap last year, but you know what? We've had a pre-season. We might be good this year. You can't do that. What did I say? I personally said at the end of last season, I'm not going to change it, no matter the fact that we're all feeling positive because it's the pre-season. I said at the end of last season, and so did many of you, so don't cheat yourself. I said at the end of last season, I don't trust these players. And they're going to have to do a hell of a lot for me to trust them. Why don't I trust that squad? I don't trust that squad because for 3 months under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, they looked like they could win the Champions League. They were amazing. And then the last 2 months, they looked like they could get relegated. And I'm fed up of this. Over the last 6 years, it's not just Ole, it's not Mourinho, it's not Van Gaal, it's not Moyes. Over the last 6 years, Manchester United went from being one of the strongest minded teams in world football to one of the biggest jelly baby, spineless Pampers FC bottlers I've seen. That squad, in my mind, and I've got to remind myself because I have been very positive with the pre-season and you've got to look forward, but that squad in my mind, I don't trust it. I don't trust that squad. I don't trust them to go to Crystal Palace and not get beat, but then turn up against in the derby and win it. They are flip-flops. They are banter. They are Pampers FC. They are jelly babies, and they need that in their head. You don't just go off on the summer holiday, come back in the pre-season, and everyone forgets. They need to get a backbone. That spine needs to be made of titanium. They've got to start fighting for that shirt. I don't trust those players. I won't trust them if we win every game up until October, because I'll still think they'll drop off in November and December. They have got to go and play for that shirt week in, week out for 6 months, and then I'll go, I trust those players again. But how do we build that trust if we don't improve the squad? And specifically, when we talk about centre-backs, I don't trust Lindelof, Jones, Bailly, Smalling, Rojo. I don't. Because there's 2 centre-backs. I trust Lindelof. Do I trust Lindelof and Bailly? No, they've let us down. Do I trust Lindelof and Smalling? No. Do I trust Jones and Smalling? God, no. I don't trust the combinations that those centre-backs provide for various reasons, which is why we cannot come out this transfer window without a centre-back. And James Cooper said we won't as well, and he's close to the club, so I believe him. De Ligt to Juve for 80 million. Maguire for how much, says Vivek Chachandran. Look, I said this today. A lot of people are talking about the De Ligt price. It's irrelevant. It's absolutely irrelevant because De Jong went to Barcelona for 70 million euros. If Manchester United tried to sign Declan Rice from West Ham, they'd want 60 million. You know, the Dutch players from the Dutch league go for ridiculously cheap prices compared to Premier League players who are inferior to them. If De Ligt was playing for Leicester, he'd be going for 100 million. And he was English, he'd go for 100 million. It's always been like this. Premier League money, if they're a Premier League player, it adds money on. If they're Premier League and English, it adds a lot more money on. If Wan-Bissaka was called De Bissaka playing for Feyenoord, we'd have got him for 15 million. Because he's Wan-Bissaka from Crystal Palace and he's English, you pay 50 million. You accept it. I don't actually see why people are making a big issue of it. Maguire's going to go for more money than De Ligt. Doesn't mean De Ligt's not better than Maguire. Doesn't mean Maguire's better than De Ligt. It just means Harry Maguire is an England international who is English, funnily enough, and Premier League proven. And you pay a tax on that. It's as simple as that. I don't want to see people, when we sign Harry Maguire, United fans going, it's ridiculous that De Ligt went for 65 and we've paid 80 for Harry Maguire. It's reality. Can you get interviews with former United players like Neville, Rio, etc. and get our concerns across to them? It is important for the fans to be heard. You know what, Prince? I think even if we did, it'd be a waste of time. To be honest with you, I've always said on the United Stand, I don't want to interview ex-players. I don't want to interview journalists. And the 2 that we've done, Simon Peach and James Cooper, we did because they were refreshingly frank and honest, and they didn't sensitise what they were going to say, and they didn't, just be totally up the club's arse. They actually said what they really felt, and that's what this channel is. It's real opinion. That's what it is. Are you going to get Gary Neville on this show saying what he really thinks? Are you going to get Rio Ferdinand saying what they really think? If they are, they can come on the show. If they're not, then, and they're just going to be, oh, positive because I was part of the youth and I like every youth player, including Jesse Lingard. I mean, the truth is, Lingard for me is not living up to anything, and if he wasn't from the youth, he'd be at Everton because we would have sold him. Real opinion. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Surely. Please do smash a like on the video, everyone. Make sure you subscribe if you are new. We are live tomorrow morning just after 9 o'clock with reaction to Ollie's press conference. He will be asked about transfers again, so don't worry about that. Yeah, and what I'm going to say to you again is make sure if you watch one video this summer, make sure you go and click the eye in the top right hand corner and watch the interview with James Cooper. There is so much in that, and if you love Manchester United and you're intrigued with what's going on with United at the moment, every topic is covered. Glazer's out, Solskjaer, Pogba, Maguire, Bruno Fernandes, the youth, Solskjaer, I've said that twice. Everything's covered in that half an hour. Click the eye, go and give it a watch. It's absolutely brilliant, and if you do enjoy it, make sure you leave a comment in there for Flex and James, because I think it's brilliant. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you at 9 o'clock. Make sure you go and give that video a watch. I'll see you soon.